welcome back to this channel. I haven't put any videos to this channel for a month now. I have just been really lazy in this January, and I have been focusing to the school and other things that are also important. But now it's again time to make more videos to this channel, and I hope that I can make more content for YouTube. I was going to do an unboxing video about my new phone, but the unboxing itself went really bad, and I really want to make good unboxing at the first time and not open and close the box again, and then it will just be fake. I want the surprise to be real, but I'm still going to review my new phone. And then my new phone is this Sony Xperia 5 Mark II, and it has filled all my needs that I could ask for a phone, at least for now. And I believe that this phone will be really good for next 2 to 3 years. So let's get to the review itself. Let's talk first about the design of the Sony Xperia 5 Mark II. The phone is a little bit narrower to its screen ratio. I believe it was 21:10. If I remember correctly, I put the real information. It's really nice that it's narrower than other phones. It fits really good for my small hand, and yeah, it ain't that large. This phone is considered as compact nowadays. It's only 6.1 inches, and it ain't large. I think the normal in 2020, and now it's 21, but still it's about 6.5 inches. And I think this is the best size for a phone, at least for a day driver. Back of the phone is glass. It's really glossy. It's weird that it ain't matte, and I think that the matte surface backplate is the thing now for the premium phones. And this phone is a premium device. Back panel, I think, is the worst thing about this phone, because it's glossy and it really takes fingerprints on it, and it looks really bad. I wish that they would have went with the matte finish to the back panel, but this is also a phone that you really need to use a phone case with, and I have always been using a phone case with this phone, because the phone is really slippery without a phone case because of the glossy back panel. It slides in every surface, and you could easily break the phone because of the slidiness, if that's a word. I think so. Xperia 5 Mark II has 4 buttons on the side. There is a volume rocker on the top. It has fingerprint scanner on the right side of the phone, and it's also a physical button that you can open your screen and close it by just pressing. Then it has Google Assistant button under the fingerprint scanner. I think that is really unnecessary, at least in Finland, because the Google Assistant doesn't know Finnish language really well, but it still has it. I haven't ever pressed it by accident. I have only pressed it if I want to use it for one reason or another, for a trying and for the laughs. And then there is one more button under the Google Assistant button, and that will be the camera shooter button, and it feels like real camera shooter button. It has 2 positions in a halfway and at the bottom of the press. It feels like a real camera shooter. And you can easily open your camera with it. Just press it, even though the phone is locked. You can take pictures with it. And that's really nice thing to have if you have to take your phone quickly and take a picture if there is some kind of nice car or something. You might need to have quick access for your camera. But the only thing is that it doesn't use the Sony's own camera program. When you press the shooter button, it takes the basic camera program that is on the phone. The specs of this phone, this has 4000 milliamp hour battery, Snapdragon 865 and the Arduino 650, is it? Can't remember. I will put it on the screen, the real information. It has 3 main cameras on the back side, 1 ultra wide, the normal camera, and 1 telephoto lens. And that's really nice that you can have all the 3 lenses that really matters with the photographing, and not any macro cameras that only sucks. At least almost every macro camera. Let's see what 21 years comes with, if there's going to be any good macro cameras. And yeah. And then the phone has front camera, of course, that you can take selfies with it. I think that the front camera isn't that good as the other cameras of this phone. It only records in Full HD resolution, and the other cameras can take the 4K resolution video. The phone has notification light in the right corner of the phone, in the right top corner of the phone. And that's also a thing that I really like to have on my phone. And I think that most of the phones doesn't have the notification LED on them. The phone has IP68 rating. It can be underwater in 1.5 meters, and that's a really good thing to have in a phone. At least in this price point, that you still pay a fortune. And of course the phone has USB-C charging port. And this phone has a really big advantage to the other phones, at least in the high price point. And it will be 3.5mm headphone jack. You don't see these bad boys in modern phones anymore. About headphone jacks, that somebody says that you don't need those anymore nowadays. Everyone has Bluetooth. Well, my stereo system is from the 90s, and I really need the aux cable to listen to music from my phone if I cook or do something else and want to listen for music. The main reasons that I went with this phone was that it has good cameras, IP68 rating, well, of course the USB-C, it has a good chipset, and what else? And a headphone jack. I don't know, is there anything else? And of course it's really good, and the Sony is really good phone maker. It has really stepped its game, at least in 2020. In the 21 they announced the Xperia Pro, and I don't like that phone. I think it's too expensive. And the price point is really much the weakest spot of the Sony phones. They are really expensive. I think the asking price, at least in the start, for this phone was 899 euros, and that's really big money for a smartphone, because you can get the OnePlus 8T that has almost the same specs for 300 euros less. Can you really make a point why you should pay 300 euros more for better camera and IP68 rating and a headphone jack? But yeah. But I bought this phone from the Black Friday sales and I paid 670 euros for this phone. And I think that was a really good price for this phone. For the extra 80 bucks that you could pay from a OnePlus 8T, you get the IP68 rating, telephoto lens, camera, and a headphone jack. And I think that is enough that you can make this. Yeah, you know what I mean. There is enough upgrades for the 8T to go with the Sony with the 70-80 bucks more money. The other options for me was for the Sony was, well, Samsung Galaxy S20 Fan Edition, OnePlus 8T, and then there was iPhone 12 mini that I was really considering to buy. But then I thought that I would have to buy all the chargers and things like that for iPhone, so the price would have been gone a lot higher, at least 200 euros, that it couldn't make any kind of sense to buy it. And I don't think that's a good deal. But I went to the Sony. I have had really good memories about my old Sony Xperia Z2 phone. I really like it that phone, and I have really liked this phone. And I have used this for 2 months now. I just hope that this phone can take it for next 2 years. This phone comes in really nice white box. I think I have it here. The phone comes in this kind of white box that looks really premium. And it comes with a charging brick that isn't obvious nowadays. The new Samsung S21 and the new iPhone doesn't come with the charging brick. They only come with the cable, and I don't think that is nice, but maybe everyone follows Apple again and do the same as Apple does. At least Sony have made their own decision about what they think that is good and what ain't. And now I will say for this point that the phone doesn't have wireless charging. And that is also a pretty bad thing for the phone of this price point. But yeah, the wireless charging isn't that big thing. At least not yet. But in the future I think that it will be bigger thing. Because every car will have one and everyone will have a wireless charging at their house. In the future. Not right now, but in the future. But let's get to the other things of this phone. This phone is really strong because of the 865 Snapdragon. And it can handle everything that you throw at it. And believe it or not, I have enjoyed playing phone games with this phone. I have played some Call of Duty on this, and the game comes pre-installed in this phone. And I think that was really weird, but I think that the Sony wants to promote the benefits of the 120Hz screen of this phone. And yeah, this phone has 120Hz screen. There is 2 options on the screen. It's 60Hz or it's 120Hz. There isn't any middle ground. I think it would be really nice that you could use like 90Hz, because then you could get a little bit better battery life for your phone. Well, the battery life is still pretty good. I have had at least for 1 day battery when I'm using heavily this phone. And when I use heavily this phone, I mean I watch YouTube, I scroll the online medias and social medias, and then I play the Call of Duty and take pictures and videos. I haven't had any kind of problems with the battery life. And with the low usage of phone, I have had over 3 years. 3 years. I mean 3 days of battery life with only one charging. I think my record is 3.5 days with a small usage of a phone. There is Sony's own programs on these phones, Cinema Pro and Photo Pro, and they are Sony's own programs, and they are the orange camera and the yellow camera on the screen, and they are really nice. It's really similar. Like, let's go to the Photo Pro. The system looks really almost the same as in a real Sony camera. You can adjust the lighting and face tracking and things like that Sony A series camera uses. It has really similar interface on it, and this is really easy to use if you have used Sony cameras. And then there is a Cinema Pro app that looks pretty much same as the Sony cameras. You have almost every same things that then in the real Sony cameras in the Cinema Pro and Photo Pro, but I think that's have been said already. These are really good. They say your phone's every angle and if it's straight or not. The bad thing about this is that you cannot change the lens while you're recording a video, and I think that is pretty bad. But you can really take professional grade videos with this and professional grade photos with this, and I think that is really nice to have with a phone. And I think that the biggest user base of this phone is camera people that needs to have a secondary camera always with them, and I think that this is the perfect choice then. The bad thing about Cinema Pro and Photo Pro also is that they doesn't work with the selfie camera. You can only use the normal camera app for the selfies, and I don't think that is nice. And the selfie camera of this phone isn't that nice. But I think it's still good enough for most of the users. But it's pretty sad that it cannot record 4K. That would have been really nice. But you cannot have everything. Sony has its own game enhancer program that you can block your notification and calls and things like that while you're playing. If you're a hard mobile gamer, you can use it. And you can also use the game enhancer for screen recording, and that is my biggest use of case of the game enhancer. You just need to manually have permission for programs that you can use the game enhancer. That is pretty clumsy, but it works. I can manage with that. The phone comes with the Android 10 and it hasn't yet get the Android 11 upgrade for the interface, and I don't know. The 10 has been good, and I think that the Android 11 will come soon. And then I think that this phone will be even better phone than it's now. But it's already a really good phone, and I don't need. Do I really need the Android 11? Of course, because I'm a tech nerd, I want it. But I don't know, do I really need it? The Sony phone has good stereo speakers in it. I think they are really nice. And you should really put the dynamic sound on your Sony phone if you have this, because the sound is really much better from the speakers itself when you use the dynamic sound mode on. I don't put any test because you can you cannot really hear it from the video, but I just say that. The phone comes with 128 gigs of memory and 8 gigabits of RAM. And that is more than enough, for at least for me and for my use of case or what it is, I don't know. But at least for my use, it's enough. And the pros and cons of this phone. The pros are really good camera. The main cameras are really good. Headphone jack. The chipset is really good. And the compact design of the phone is really good. And the cons are, there is no wireless charging, there is no 4K video recording on the selfie camera, the glossy glass panel, and the high price. They are the cons. And by the cons I mean they are the bad things, and the pros are that they're the good things. If you didn't know what I mean by the pros and cons. But yeah, I think there isn't that much to say about this phone anymore. This phone is... so, buy this phone if you can find it on sale. Don't buy the full price of this phone, but unless you really need to have this phone for photographing or something like that. And yeah, I will give this phone 8.5 out of 10. A really good phone. And I think there wasn't really much any better phones while I was buying my new daily driver. I think that's enough for this video, and gotta subscribe for this channel if you haven't. And yeah, see you in the next one. Bye.